You look tacky. You really wore that ugly suit to this meeting? Vivian Cole said it like a verdict, smiling at the head of the glass table in the Skyline Suite, 30 floors above Chicago. Outside, the lake was a sheet of steel. Inside, the air smelled like espresso, cologne, and fear of accountability. I did not flinch. I only uncapped my pen. My name is Maya Reed, compliance manager at Marrowline Holdings. I translate laws into consequences. When someone says it will be fine, I ask for their signature. I was here to brief the board before the Quarter Glass Summit, our investor spectacle with lights, slogans, and enough smoke to choke an auditor. Vivian did not care about audits. Vivian cared about optics. She wore a white blazer and a practiced grin, the kind that sells confidence while hiding panic. Her gaze traveled over my slate gray suit like it was an offensive spreadsheet. Compliance should look compliant, she added, tapping a marker on the table. Click, click, click. That looks like a costume for someone who hates money. A few directors laughed politely. Our general counsel stared down at his notes as if paper could protect him. The chief financial officer, Nolan Price, found sudden fascination in a water glass. I kept my tone even. I am here to talk about risk, not runway. Vivian leaned forward. Risk is boring. We are here to inspire trust, and you are wearing something that inspires pity. I wrote down every word. Time, tone, witnesses. The habit of a compliance manager is to record, because memory is a liar and documents do not blush. Board Chair Edmund Lark cleared his throat. He was quiet, silver-haired, and allergic to drama. He looked at my jacket seam with the focus of a man assessing a bridge. That is a read line cut, he said. The room went still. Vivian blinked. Excuse me? Vivian asked. Edmund continued, calm as a judge. Read line atelier, the suit line that won the Meridian Guild Award last year. Limited production, very distinctive tailoring. Nolan Price stopped pretending to be invisible. The general counsel lifted his eyes, alarm sharpening his face. Vivian turned to me, smile wavering. Do not tell me you shop there. I do, I said. I design there. Silence thickened. A phone buzzed somewhere, and no one dared to claim it. Vivian laughed once, too high. That is funny. You are compliance. You file reports. You are not a fashion house. Edmund slid a folder an inch across the table, not toward Vivian, but toward the truth. The board received vendor inquiries. Readline Atelier is a multi-million-dollar firm. Founder and principal designer, Maya Reed. Vivian stared as if the folder had grown teeth. Her cheeks flushed. She glanced around the table for support and found only careful neutrality. Power loves applause. It panics in quiet. You kept this from me, she snapped at Edmund. Edmund did not raise his voice. Your agenda did not include listening. Vivian turned back to me, smile returning in a sharper shape. So you think you are better than us because you stitch fabric? It is not stitching, I replied. It is engineering with cloth. That was when her composure cracked. Vivian stepped around the table, heels clicking fast. Too fast. Her hand lifted. I had time to notice the expensive ring, the manicured nails, the tremor of humiliation. Her palm struck my cheek. The sound snapped through the room. My head turned. My glasses slid. I tasted metal. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Vivian stood over me, eyes wide, as if her body had acted without permission. Then the general counsel found his voice, thin with dread. Madam CEO, he said, you just assaulted an employee in front of the board. Vivian opened her mouth to speak. And I smiled, not because my face felt good, but because I knew something she did not. In my world, a slap is not a moment. It is evidence. The boardroom did not explode. It imploded. Edmund Lark stood first and pushed his chair back. Meeting adjourned, he said. When the board chair uses 2 words, everyone obeys. Vivian Cole tried to laugh. It was a joke, she said, rubbing her own wrist like my face had attacked her. Maya startled me, I reacted. General Counsel Farid Sato looked like he had swallowed a stapler. That is not a joke. That is liability, he replied. It happened with witnesses. Vivian snapped toward the chief financial officer, Nolan Price. Tell them she provoked me. Nolan glanced at my cheek, then at the table as if wood grain could save him. I saw a slap, he said. I did not see provocation. Director Daria Wynn reached for her phone. Preserve security footage, she said. Now. Vivian barked, put that away, this is internal. Daria did not blink. Internal is not invisible. I dabbed my cheek with a tissue, not for drama, for documentation. Blood makes timelines simple. Do you need medical care? Farid asked. I need procedure, I said. Incident report, witness statements, footage preservation, and written assurance that retaliation will be treated as a policy violation. Vivian scoffed. Listen to her. She is turning a moment into a lawsuit. No, I replied. You turned a moment into a lawsuit. I am turning it into a file. Farid exhaled and addressed the board. We need an emergency session immediately. If this leaks, it becomes a market event. It will leak anyway, Daria said. This company leaks like a paper cup. Edmund nodded once, eyes on Vivian. Farid, take her to the lounge. Vivian resisted, planting her heels. Do not touch me. I am not touching you, Farid said. I am escorting risk. The door shut behind them. The room released a collective breath. For once, people looked at me clearly, without the usual fog of hierarchy. Edmund leaned closer. Maya, what else do we not know? I kept my answer narrow. Today is about conduct. My outside business is separate. Daria gave a small smile. Headlines do not believe in separate. The head of Human Resources, Celeste Baird, slipped into the room like a cat that had learned how to wear pearls. Let us keep this calm, she said, eyes darting to my cheek. We can address this as a misunderstanding. It was not a misunderstanding, I replied. It was a hand. Celeste swallowed and pivoted to policy language. We will open an inquiry. Good, I said. Start by locking down the camera feeds. Edmund handed me a legal pad. Write a statement. Facts only. Quotes. Times. Names. 10 minutes. I wrote exactly what happened, including Vivian's first line about my suit. I listed every witness in the room and the direction of the slap. Then I filed it through our ethics portal before anyone could suggest I wait for guidance. The system stamped it, routed it, and copied it to the board audit committee inbox. My phone lit up. Incoming call. Vivian Cole. I did not answer. A text arrived from an unknown number. Come to my office now. We will handle this privately. Do not make me regret offering grace. Daria leaned over and read it, lips tightening. That is retaliation wrapped in perfume. It is an attempt, I said. Edmund stood. Do not go alone, and do not speak without counsel present. I nodded, and still I walked, because revenge is not a tantrum. It is a process. In the hallway, I passed a glossy poster for the Quarter Glass Summit. Vivian's face smiled above a slogan, Lead with Brilliance. I took a photo, then headed for her office, where the carpet got thicker and the mistakes cost more. Behind the door, her voice carried through the wood, sharp and urgent. Find out how much she is worth, Vivian said, because if she thinks she can sue me, I will buy her silence. Vivian's office looked like a shrine to Vivian. Framed magazine covers, a chair big enough to intimidate furniture, a glass award labeled Visionary Leader, as if vision needed proof. Celeste Baird and Farid Sato stood beside me when Vivian waved us in. Vivian did not offer a seat. She wanted me standing. Maya, Vivian said, voice sweet and dangerous. We can end this before it becomes ugly. It is already ugly, Fareed replied. That is why counsel is present. Vivian ignored him. You will withdraw the ethics report. You will tell the board it was a misunderstanding. In return, I will give you a promotion. A title people respect. Director of something. Celeste stiffened. We cannot ask an employee to withdraw a report. Vivian snapped. I run this company. Fareed answered calmly. You do not run the law. Vivian slid a folder across her desk. 200,000. Confidential settlement. Sign and go design your little suits. I did not touch the folder. Is your apology priced per insult? Her smile twitched. Do not get clever with me. I am not clever, I said. I am documented. Vivian stepped closer. You think you can sue me and win? I can bury you. I can call every compliance department in this city and make your name poison. Fareed raised a hand. Stop. Vivian did not stop. I can ruin you, she said again, louder, because she loved power enough to repeat it. I wrote the sentence in my notebook, word for word. What are you doing? She demanded. Capturing retaliation, I replied. You are building my case for me. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Case, attorney. Of course you have an attorney. How much are you worth, Maya Reed? Enough to choose honesty, I said. Vivian flinched like honesty was thrown at her. So you are rich and still want to bleed me? I want accountability, I replied. Bleeding is your metaphor. Vivian whirled toward Celeste. Suspend her, fire her. Fareed stayed still. Any adverse action will be used against the company. Vivian leaned on her desk, breathing hard. Then I will use the company against her. Conflict of interest, hidden business. She lied. Celeste met Vivian's stare. She disclosed her outside business in the annual ethics questionnaire. I signed the receipt. The room went quiet. Vivian looked suddenly smaller, like a person who had realized the stage was not hers. Fine, Vivian said at last. Go. Enjoy your lawsuit. I will crush you in court. Fareed nodded once. We are done. In the hallway, Celeste whispered, Send everything through counsel. I already have counsel, I said. Jules Arden, employment law. I made 2 calls in an empty conference room, one to Jules, one to Rena Park, my business partner at Reedline Atelier. Rena answered on the first ring. Tell me you are not bleeding on the suit. Only my patience, I said. Vivian hit me in front of the board. Rena Paz was a blade. Not good that she hit you. Good that she did it in public. Jules texted a single line. Preserve everything. As if I ever would. When I headed back to my desk, my phone buzzed again. This time it was not Vivian. A news alert. A shaky video thumbnail filmed inside the Skyline suite showed a white blazer and an open hand. The view count was already climbing fast, multiplying like rumors trapped in an elevator. Headline: Marrow Line CEO slaps compliance manager during board briefing. I stared at the screen and felt the future reassemble itself. Vivian Cole was no longer fighting me. Vivian Cole was fighting shareholders, regulators, and the internet. And the internet does not accept hush money. By afternoon, Marrow Line Holdings stock was falling, not because investors cared about my cheek, but because investors hate uncertainty. Vivian Cole scheduled a filmed apology for the next morning, complete with soft lighting and a charity pin. She named it the Grace Address. Even remorse needed branding. The board did not wait for her camera crew. That night, Edmund Lark convened an emergency session with outside counsel and a crisis firm named Northgate Ethics. Fareed Sato asked me to attend as witness and as compliance officer of record. Vivian protested that my presence was a conflict. Edmund answered that Vivian was the conflict. Vivian arrived late, carrying printed talking points like she planned to negotiate with gravity. This is a distraction, she began. A single incident, taken out of context. Daria Wynn leaned forward. The context is your hand on an employee face. Vivian shifted tactics. She is running a private business while holding a sensitive role here. I placed my ethics disclosure on the table. Celeste Baird placed her signed receipt beside it. Vivian stared at the papers, blinking hard. Edmund spoke, firm and quiet. Northgate will review conduct and retaliation risk. Vivian, you will not contact Maya Reed directly. Vivian smiled without warmth. Fine. Northgate's first request was simple: preserve all devices and footage. Vivian said, "Of course," and sounded offended that anyone dared ask. Fareed received a whispered message from security and turned back to Vivian. "Why did you request deletion of the Skyline Suite camera feed this afternoon?" Vivian blinked. "I did not." Security placed a printed ticket on the table. Vivian username, timestamp, the words, delete Skyline feed. Silence landed like a gavel. "It was a misunderstanding," Vivian said, too fast. Daria gave a short laugh. "Your career is a misunderstanding." Northgate moved to email exports. Their analyst read aloud, voice flat. A message from Vivian to Nolan Price. Book wardrobe invoices under client cultivation. Nobody reads the detail. Another note to an assistant. If compliance asks, say the vendor is Lumen Strategy. Lumen Strategy did not exist. Edmund turned to Nolan. "Did you approve false invoices?" Nolan's face went wet with panic. "It was guidance from the CEO," he said, "because survival beats loyalty every time." Vivian hissed, "Coward." Edmund did not flinch. "Vivian, you assaulted an employee, threatened retaliation, attempted to destroy evidence, and we now have indications of expense fraud. Step out while the board deliberates." Vivian rose, chin high. "You cannot do this. I am the brand." Edmund answered. "A brand is not a shield." Vivian left the room. Through the glass wall, I watched her pace the hallway, phone pressed to her ear, voice sharp, as if volume could reverse votes. An hour later, Fareed called me back in. The decision was done. Vivian Cole was terminated for cause, effective immediately. No severance. Stock options frozen pending review. Access revoked. Northgate would escalate the invoice findings to regulators if required. Jules Arden had filed my lawsuit within hours. Battery, hostile workplace, retaliation, damages, and an order blocking further contact. The paperwork felt heavy, not with rage, with consequences. By morning, Vivian Grace's address was cancelled. A lender invoked a morality clause tied to Vivian personal guarantee and called a bridge loan. Her name started trending again, now next to words like fraud and cover-up. When I left the tower, security nodded at me with a respect they had never practiced before. Across the street, a black car idled. The window rolled down. Vivian sat inside, face pale, eyes bright with rage. "You think you won?" she said. I leaned toward the window, close enough for her to smell the clean wool of my suit. "I did not win," I replied. "I documented." Her hand twitched, as if it missed the feeling of my cheek. Then the car pulled away, fast, toward the courthouse lights. Courtrooms do not care about charisma. Courtrooms care about records. 3 weeks after the slap, Vivian Cole arrived at civil court wearing another white blazer, like she thought the color could clean a reputation. Her attorney spoke in long sentences about stress, high-stakes leadership, and how social media had turned an unfortunate moment into a spectacle. Jules Arden let him finish. Jules did not argue with feelings. Jules argued with timestamps. Exhibit A was the video. Vivian open hand. My stillness. The board members flinching like witnesses at a storm. Exhibit B was my incident report, filed within minutes. Quotes, times, names. Exhibit C was the deletion ticket. Vivian username. Vivian request. Vivian attempt to erase what her own palm had written. Exhibit D was the email thread about Lumen strategy and wardrobe invoices. Judge Marcia Hines read it in silence, then looked at Vivian the way a teacher looks at a student who copied homework and still misspelled the name. Vivian tried the only tool she had left: contempt. She stared at me across the room and whispered, not quietly enough, "You look tacky." Jules turned his head, eyebrows raised like he had just been handed dessert. He asked permission to approach, then placed a note on the court record. Hostile statement during proceedings. Judge Hines frowned. "Ms. Cole, you will stop making this worse." Vivian smiled, thin and frantic. "She wanted this. She set me up. She is rich. She does not need damages." I answered calmly when asked. "Need is not the standard. Harm is." Vivian's defense collapsed in layers. First, the slap was undeniable. Then the retaliation threat, confirmed by Celeste Baird testimony. Then the evidence deletion attempt. Then the fraudulent invoices, which the board had already referred to regulators under Northgate guidance. The case stopped being about my cheek and became about Vivian Pattern. After 2 days of testimony, Judge Hines ruled from the bench. Battery, retaliation, punitive damages for the deletion attempt, attorney's fees, a formal injunction barring Vivian from contacting me, my employees, or Readline Atelier clients. Vivian's face drained of color. Her attorney reached for her arm. Vivian shook him off. Outside, cameras waited. Vivian tried to speak, but the first question cut through her. "Are you being investigated for fraud?" Vivian's mouth opened and closed. No slogan came out. No branding saved her. Within a month, Vivian had lost everything she built on intimidation. Her severance was void. Her stock options were worthless. A lender pursued her personal guarantee. A civil judgment chased her accounts. A regulator subpoena arrived at her new address, which was smaller and far less impressed with her. Marrowline Holdings survived, barely, because Edmund Lark and Daria Wynn chose competence over comfort. They asked me to lead the compliance restructure until a permanent chief was hired. I agreed, with conditions: independent directors, real vendor vetting, a code of conduct with consequences. No more vanity summits named after glass toys. On my first day back, Nolan Price resigned before lunch. He called it a personal decision. I called it a sensible one. That evening, I went to the Readline Atelier studio and ran my hand along a row of jackets, each one cut with intention. Rena Park handed me a garment bag. "New commission?" I asked. Rena smiled. "For you. For court and for boardrooms. Something that says you do not bend." I wore it to the next board meeting. Deep gray, sharp shoulders, constellation lining like a private map. Edmund looked at it and nodded. Not tacky. I sat, opened my binder, and began with the line Vivian never understood. "Compliance is not an obstacle," I said. "It is how you keep your power." Later, my phone buzzed with a final message from an unknown number. "You ruined me," it said. I did not reply. I only adjusted my cuff and smiled, because revenge does not always need a punchline. Sometimes it is just a well-tailored life.